So, what do you think of Donald Trump?
Oh my goodness. The man is not a man. He sounds like a childish brat. He is a total disappointment to me. He is nothing that I can find honorable to be a president. He lies, he cheats, he only thinks of himself. How can I feel good about a man who is supposed to be keeping our country the best and together? We are so separated here. There are so many problems, and he just thinks of himself.
So, there are people who still haven't voted who are planning to vote for Donald Trump. If you were able to talk to them, what would you tell them?
Well, the first thing I would do would be to ask them questions. What kind of a world do you want to live in? He's ignoring uh, the controls, he's ignoring everything that is for the betterment of this environment and this country. So, what do you want to vote for? Is it self centered? Is it going to benefit a lot of people? What is it that you're voting for? Not necessarily talking specifically about the President of the United States that we now have. What would you like your president to represent this country with what?
What do you think about Joe Biden? How do you feel about him?
Joe Biden has been in office and has displayed that he does have knowledge. You may not agree with him, but he has the people that he wants to benefit. He is kind, he is considerate, he listens, he takes advice. Can't please everybody, I know that. But think about the things that Trump is not willing to please people with. And I believe Biden will unify this country.
Do you feel good about the thought of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris being president and vice president?
Yes, I do, because I believe that both of them have the ability to really take advice from people that are knowledgeable, not just anybody who likes them, but people who are knowledgeable. And that's what this country needs. We're in a situation now where the president totally ignores the doctors and the pandemic. He doesn't care how many people die. And I believe that Biden does. And I believe that Biden has methods that will be best for this country.
How do you feel about the fact that Donald Trump has reportedly lied or misrepresented over 20,000 times?
Oh my goodness. If I lied once, I don't think I could sit down. And my boys, the same. They grew up to be honest, have integrity, have compassion, care for people. My three boys are Eagle Scouts. We run an honorable home.
Got it. So, what is the most important thing for you in terms of issues when you are voting this year?
Well, there are so many issues, I don't know where to begin. But the fact is that the air control, the elements that are destroying our climate, the elements that are toxic, and that we are not going to be able to leave our children a clean air, compatibility, a situation where there is love and where we can disagree, but we agree to love each other.
Oh. So, you were born in 1929. Just a few years before that, there was a very momentous thing that happened for women. In 1920, the 19th Amendment was passed. You want to tell us a story about how one vote gave women the right to vote and how important it is to vote for people who represent what you want and your values and your issues?
Well, it was the 19th Amendment that I'm referring to, and a young 24-year-old Tennessee House of Representative in August of 1920 had the last vote to approve the right for women to vote. So we've celebrated that this year. Now, this young man, they wore roses and different colors to indicate how they were going to vote. And up until the time Henry Byrne came up to place his vote, he was against the amendment. Read a letter from his mother, and lo and behold, it was a lengthy letter, and in it she asked him to be a good boy. And he placed the vote.
To be a good boy and
vote. And he placed the vote that she recommended, and the amendment was passed to the chagrin of all of the majority of people that were sitting there that wanted him to vote against it. So he scooted out real fast, and the next day he was questioned about why did he change his mind. And his answer was, because a good boy always listens to his mother. And so it was passed. And the reason I was so happy was that when I had been voting, at the age of 21, and always from there on, I had realized that I was voting for my grandparents as well, because my grandmothers did not have the right to vote.
And so what do you want to say to the many, many young people, the many granddaughters and grandsons that are not going to be voting in this election?
Well, I've spoken to quite a few of them, and they feel that their vote doesn't count. I hope my little story will prove to them that every vote does count, and that it's important for them not only to vote for the high offices, but to vote for the amendments, the attachments, the things that are going to make a better world for us. And I am asking, please vote. Everybody, please vote. And vote giving consideration to what you really and truly want, not what's going to make you rich. Because at the end of the game, the money doesn't count.
Oh, beautiful. You voted in a lot of elections. How important is this election, this 2020 election, in your perspective as a 91-year-old woman?
Well, to me, it means the rest of the world that I will be living in. And hopefully, not my children will be living in the world that scares me.
So last words about the election?
Please, please, everybody, think carefully and vote. And regardless of who you're voting for and what you're voting for or against, be sure that it's truly what you want. Thinking of not only yourself, but your friends, your environment, and the people who may not be privileged.